Don't let one bad leg haunt your parlay. Parlays turn into payouts, and now even near misses won't haunt your bet. The NFL season is here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is rewriting the rules with Ghost Leg, a new game-changing promotion that turns close calls into cold, hard cash. Best of all, it's available to all DraftKings customers. Here's how it works. Build any 3+ leg pregame NFL parlay on Sunday, apply your Ghost Leg token, and if one leg loses, DraftKings makes it vanish like it never existed and pays you out in cash for the rest. Last season, over 30 million parlays were lost by a single leg. This year, Ghost Leg gives those busted bets a second life. No more busted parlays that haunt you all season. With Ghost Leg, the bad leg vanishes. The payout doesn't. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code PFF. That's code PFF to unlock Ghost Leg, the promotion that makes one bad leg disappear and pays you out in real cash. Ghost your losses, get your payout in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Let's move on to Bengals Browns.
Poor Tyler.
I was waiting for that.
There's two happy producers and one very angry one.
Yeah, our production suite is two Bengals fans and a Browns fan. So this is going to get interesting right here. If you hear like our mics turn off or maybe the cameras don't move, it might be because they're getting into a fist fight behind the glass there. The Bengals win this game. I don't really know how. 17-16. There are so many things to get into with this one. The top 5 graded players that we have for the Cincinnati Bengals. Linebacker Logan Wilson at the very top of the list with an 89.4. Edge rusher Shamar Stewart. Look at that, Dalton.
Oof.
Animal.
Trey's got some help.
Shamar Stewart's game is why PFF exists. Okay? 0 tackles, 0 stats on the stat sheet at all whatsoever. Absolute monster. If PFF did not exist, unless you had all 22, you would not be able to appreciate what Shamar Stewart was in his first game.
That's why you need a plus subscription
and he
right there.
Was awesome. 88.9. Edge rusher Trey Henderson, you mentioned right behind him with an 88.1. Cornerback Dax Hill is 78.6. And then safety Jordan Battle, a 76.9. Quarterback Joe Burrow in this game, a 75.6. On the Brown side of things, rookie linebacker Carson Schwessinger, stud. Went back and watched every snap that he played this past weekend this morning, and dude is flying. 90.0 elite defensive grade that we had this past week for him. Edge rusher Isaiah McGuire with an 88.2. Linebacker Devin Bush an 87.5. Offensive guard Joel Bitonio an 81.1. Cornerback Greg Newsome a 76.6. And then Joe Flacco 73.1. Dalton, sad to tell the story. What do we got?
I think what it comes down to is the Browns had several opportunities to win this game, as producer Tyler would certainly tell us, and they just didn't take advantage of those opportunities they had. Their second half drives, they had a touchdown leading it off, but then an interception, a turnover on downs in Bengals territory, a punt at the Bengals 42, which you maybe could have gone for, the missed field goal, which was just absolutely killer, and then a second interception later on, and then the game ends from there. Yeah, I mean, they had every shot to win this game. And I think the lesson here, when you're looking at the Bengals, if you're having any worry about any of this or that, the Bengals are just happy to get out of Cleveland with a win. Any time, doesn't matter what the records are, what you think of the teams. When the Bengals go to Cleveland, it's going to be rough and tumble. They beat them 21-14 in Cleveland last year, and I believe before that they lost 6 in a row in Cleveland. If they get out of Cleveland 1-0, I don't even think they care really what the stats look like. And the stats are actually, for a team that won, I'm actually incredibly impressed with some of the stats that came out of this game that you're going to go over. But you listen.
Is impressed the word?
Oh, I'm impressed. Yeah.
At what?
My favorite one is the fact that you can have 7 yards in the second half. You can have 7 yards in the second half and win a football game. I am impressed with that. Now, maybe not even impressed with any particular thing.
Yeah, I don't think impressed is the word.
Just the fact that it happened, I can appreciate that big time. And for the Bengals, I'm not gonna. It's not. I don't think it's too much heavy analysis on their side. They got out of Cleveland with a win, and for them, that is just fine. I know some people are going to be like, well, they played like crap against the Browns. That's how this works. They have Myles Garrett. They've got a great D-line. It's a bad matchup for the Bengals in Cleveland, especially. The Bengals fans here will tell us all the time, we hate going to Cleveland. This is why, because the games end up like this. But at least they're on the winning end of it. I think at that point, brush it off. We'll analyze the Bengals side of things, honestly, more coming this week as opposed to in this game, because it's just, even though it's the Browns and they're not going to win a whole lot this year, it's such an awful matchup, and they're just happy to get out with a win.
Yeah, I can't believe the Bengals won this game. Joe Burrow says after the game, he was basically saying like, hey, like in years past, like we've lost these games.
True.
And it's like, buddy, this is one that you probably should have lost, and the other ones maybe you should have won. Look, obviously, again, like we've said throughout this entire show, a win is a win is a win, but we're looking into exactly how the game went to try to, to have actual takeaway points here. The Bengals in the second half, you mentioned, this is a very bad football team in the second half of this game. They had 21 total plays, negative 0.656 EPA per play, which is horrendous.
Going backwards.
Their drives in the second half, you ready for this? 3 and out, 7 plays for 17 yards off of an interception that they got, which they made a field goal for. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. 5 out of 6 drives in the second half were 3 and outs.
Browns defense is always pretty good,
And the Browns missed I don't know. How far was the last kick for Andre Smith?
Not far.
I mean, they missed an extra point and they missed a field goal.
That'll do it. Was it 37? Maybe it was the distance on it. It was extremely makeable. Is the distance?
I mean, that's my most disappointing, obviously, because you leave 4 points on the board and you lose the game by 1. I mean, I felt like for as poor as whether it was the Bengals not playing as well as they needed to on their side, or whether it was you on defense forcing them to not play well, whatever percentage you want to have there, you gave yourself a chance to win this game in the second half and start the season 1-0. I don't think that the Browns are as talented as the Bengals are. I took the Bengals pretty easily in this game. I thought they were going to cover, but the Browns came out and played very well, specifically their young guys. Dylan Sampson was awesome. Carson Schwessinger was awesome. Harold Fannin Jr. was awesome. Like, these guys are fantastic. Cedric Tillman, for the most part, was good. I know he had the drop that turned into an interception, which is objectively not great. But for the most part, was good. Looked like a legitimate receiver for them. All of those things went the Browns' way. And I think building blocks, even though they didn't win this game, are really nice for them at some really important positions. The Bengals, I think the big takeaway here is that they just come out of the gate slow every single season. And we have been begging the Bengals for a long time, just don't get in a hole to start the year. Because it feels like they are consistently, when Joe Burrow is healthy, one of the most dangerous teams in the second half of seasons. Like last year, nobody wanted to play the Bengals down the stretch. Nobody. But the fact that they didn't get in the playoffs was because they started in a hole. And that has happened year after year after year. And so for the Bengals, the big takeaway is genuinely, I think, just, hey, the defensive line looked good. Shamar Stewart looked good. You like what you saw on the defensive side of things. Obviously, I think that was all good. But it really is just the fact that, hey, 1-0, baby.
No,
that's how I think you have to look at this if you're a Bengals fan.
And again, especially in Cleveland, they never play well in Cleveland.
Right.
It's just a thing. It's just how this works. They won by 7 last year, which was their first win. I believe it was since 2017 or 18. They squeak out this game. I think Zach Taylor is going to be perfectly content to just throw this game in the trash. And I think we will learn a lot more about the Bengals this week at home against Jacksonville. I think we're going to learn a lot more.
That'll be a fun game.
This game, it's just Bengals-Browns. It's such a problem. The D-line, the Browns' defense is still good. The Bengals have never had an answer for Myles Garrett. Everybody knows that. I mean, it's just get out of there with a win, and it's fine. The Bengals won week 1. When's the last time they did that? 2019 or whatever? I mean, when's the last time they won week 1? They just don't really. 2021. Well, they went to the Super Bowl that year, Eli. So there you go. Maybe we're doing that again. But I mean, get out of Cleveland with a win. It's fine.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yep. I mentioned Schlesinger was awesome. 90.0 grade on 52 snaps. It wasn't a small sample size. He played a lot.
Oh, he's a starter.
83.8 coverage grade, 70.0 run defense grade, 76.3 pass rush grade. I mean, he was all over the place. the first quarter of this game, they were basically just using him as like a double mugged, almost like an on-ball linebacker, but just head up over the center and the guard. And then sometimes he would drop. Obviously, sometimes he would attack. But, as the game went on, second, third, fourth quarter, he was used more traditionally at the second level, and they were letting him fly around. Now, of course, the run defense grade being the lowest for Schlesinger is what you would expect to see. He is a lighter linebacker, like the conversation that we talked about, a couple of games ago. Schlesinger is like 220, 225. I don't know what he's officially weighing at now, what his playing weight is in the NFL. But when he was playing at UCLA, he was like 220, 225. And he was incredibly fast. He was incredibly quick. He'd close in on ball carriers. Pound for pound, he was a really good tackler. He had some good strength to him. But it was the run defense stuff. It was taking on pulling and climbing offensive linemen that he was going to lose. There were a handful of reps where that happened again this past game. But you love what you saw from Carson Schlesinger in this one. So he was my most impressive. I already talked about my most disappointing, obviously, being the Browns kicking game, because I felt like it was, obviously, if you kick a little bit better, you win this football game. But that was my most impressive and disappointing. What do you have in either category?
For me, it's two sides of the same matchup. Those two edge players for the Bengals. Look, Trey Hendrickson had the most predictable monster game of the year this week. I mean, when you talk about the matchup mostly with DeJuan Jones, the Browns left tackle, Hendrickson, a 90 pass rush grade, 8 pressures and 8 other pass rush wins. Ridiculous. 16 pass rush wins in total. Shamar Stewart was awesome, like you mentioned it, and a dual threat. Look, you talk about 3 pressures, 7 total pass rush wins, a batted pass, and then, of course, we knew he was really good in run defense at Texas A&M, 76.3 run defense grade. If Trey Hendrickson now has help on the other side there off the edge, this is a different defense. It's all of a sudden a different defense. And Al Golden, with what he can do, and he can move Stewart around, he can blitz if he wants to. If they're both going to rush the passer well, he doesn't necessarily have to in a game like this. And then look at the Browns' offensive tackles. I mean, you talk about next year's draft and having 2 first-round picks. I can guarantee you some of those tackles in college football are going to be guys that they're looking at. Because, I mean, Jack Conklin with a 50, and then he left with an eye injury. DeJuan Jones is just not their starting left tackle. Cornelius Lucas, a veteran, he's not a long-term piece. Offensive tackle's a problem for the Browns. And right now, edge defender looks pretty good at it on both sides, and we haven't said that in a while. I know Sam Hubbard, he was slowing down a little bit, and he's, retired now, and they had to find his replacement in Shamar Stewart. But they look pretty good, at least for night one.
20 pressures allowed from the Browns' offensive line.
Yep.
Most in the NFL this week. Cannot believe that they did not address offensive line this offseason. I can't believe it. That is going to be my biggest storyline that I'm talking about for a team for the 2026 draft. I would say, like, early on, is Wyatt Teller. Who is it? It's Wyatt Teller, Ethan Posick, DeJuan Jones. All are free agents this upcoming offseason. Bitonio, it's Wyatt Teller, Ethan Posick, and Joel Bitonio are all free agents this upcoming offseason. DeJuan Jones is one of the lowest graded offensive tackles in the NFL, and Jack Conklin is going into another year of his contract. He's under contract, I think, for 3 more years, but he'll be 32 next season. He'll be 34 when the contract is over.
And he's had a lot of injuries lately.
I have said this before. In 2 years, we have, I think in 2 years, we have a totally new starting 5 in Cleveland. And they have not kick-started that transition, and I think that was a bad decision by them. But I do think that they will hit the gas pedal on that this upcoming offseason. I think that at least one of their first-round picks is going to go to the offensive line because it's going to need to out of necessity.